Food, a universal necessity and a cultural symbol, varies significantly from one region to another. In the United States, land of the free, there are certain foods you're not allowed to savor. This video isn't about the strangeness of the dish, but the safety and ethical concerns tied to them. Delve into these forbidden culinary delights, some of which may surprise you. Number 1. Ackee fruit. Within the vibrant backdrop of Jamaican culture, where reggae beats pulse and jerk spices tantalize the palate, the ackee fruit holds a place of prominence. Not just a fruit, ackee is woven into Jamaica's national identity, both symbolically and culinarily. Yet, while it's revered in its native land, it's a topic of caution and restriction in the United States. Originally native to West Africa, the ackee tree was transported to the Caribbean in the 18th century via the transatlantic slave trade. Jamaica in particular embraced the fruit, making it a staple of their culinary repertoire. The fruit, when ripe, bursts open, revealing shiny black seeds and soft yellow arils. These arils, reminiscent of scrambled eggs in appearance and texture, are the edible parts of the fruit. Jamaicans mastered the art of cooking these arils, most notably pairing them with salted cod to produce the national dish, ackee and saltfish. Beyond its culinary applications, ackee has had historical significance in traditional medicine. Its seeds, although toxic, were used in controlled amounts by indigenous communities for various therapeutic purposes, from inducing sleep to treating parasitic infections. However, ackee's welcome in Jamaica is contrasted starkly by its status in the United States. The concern isn't about the fruit's taste or its cultural importance, but stems from the very real dangers associated with its premature consumption. Ackee contains two primary toxins, hypoglycin A and hypoglycin B. These toxins are present throughout the fruit, but are found in especially high concentrations in the inedible portions, such as the seeds and the underripe arils. When ingested, these toxins can lead to a potentially fatal condition known as Jamaican vomiting sickness, JVS. Symptoms can range from mild, like vomiting and hypoglycemia, to severe, like coma or death. The disease is named for its prevalence in Jamaica, where instances of JVS occurred due to the widespread consumption of the fruit. Thankfully, as knowledge about the proper preparation of ackee spread, instances of JVS have decreased in Jamaica. Number 2. Sassafras oil. In the dense forests of the eastern United States grows a medium-sized tree known as the sassafras tree. This deciduous tree, notable for its mitten-shaped leaves, is the origin of the once widely used sassafras oil. Extracted primarily from the bark of the tree's roots, sassafras oil has a distinctive aroma that is reminiscent of root beer, a popular American beverage. This connection isn't incidental. Sassafras oil was, in fact, a primary ingredient in root beer, imparting it with its signature flavor. But the uses of sassafras oil weren't just limited to root beer. Traditional communities celebrated the oil for its medicinal properties. Indigenous tribes in North America utilized it as a remedy for a variety of ailments, from treating fevers and rheumatism to mitigating pain and inflammation. The oil, when used in modest amounts, was believed to purify the body, offer relief from pain, and even serve as a diuretic. Additionally, sassafras oil was occasionally used as a fragrance in perfumes and soaps, valued for its fresh, spicy scent. So, with a rich history and diverse applicability, why was sassafras oil banned in the U.S.? The reasons lie in the realms of modern science. In the 1960s, scientific studies shed light on safrole, a major component of sassafras oil. Safrole was found to be a carcinogen, directly linked to the formation of liver cancer in rats. This discovery was unsettling. If a major ingredient in a popular beverage could potentially lead to cancer, swift action was necessary. Following these findings, the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, delved into the issue, scrutinizing the potential risks associated with safrole consumption. Their investigations corroborated the initial studies, confirming the carcinogenic properties of safrole. In light of this, in 1960, the FDA prohibited the interstate shipment of sassafras bark for uses in foods and beverages. Further regulations were established to ensure that any product containing safrole would be considered adulterated, making its introduction into the U.S. food market illegal. Number 3. Haggis. When one thinks of Scotland, images of breathtaking highlands, intricate tartans, and the haunting sound of bagpipes may come to mind. But for a culinary adventurer, Scotland is inextricably linked with its iconic dish, haggis. Celebrated and at times a subject of gentle teasing, haggis is deeply woven into Scotland's cultural fabric. However, while it's a centerpiece of Scottish celebrations, traditional haggis has found itself on the forbidden list across the Atlantic in the United States. At its essence, haggis is a savory pudding comprising sheep's heart, liver, and lungs, which are minced together with onion, oatmeal, suet, spices, and salt. This mixture is then encased in the animal's stomach, traditionally, and simmered for a few hours. The result is a rich, crumbly, and flavorful dish that pairs wonderfully with neeps and tatties, turnips and potatoes. Burns Night, held in honor of the Scottish poet Robert Burns, sees haggis being served traditionally, with Burns' poem Address to a Haggis being recited before the dish is cut open and served. Haggis's origins, while distinctly Scottish, are a bit murky. Some believe the dish dates back to ancient times when hunters and gatherers would use up every part of the animal to ensure nothing went to waste. Others argue it emerged during cattle droving days, where ease of transport and the lack of refrigeration made such a dish practical. Despite the uncertainties around its birth, haggis's position in Scottish culture is indisputable. Number 4. Horse meat. Horse meat, while a delicacy in various cultures around the globe, remains a contentious topic in others. It's a subject that brings with it layers of history, emotions, and regulations. In some societies, horse meat is cherished for its nutritional value and unique flavor. In others, especially in the United States, the mere idea of consuming horse meat is met with revulsion and controversy. How did this divergence come about, and why is horse meat consumption so heavily regulated in the U.S.? In regions like Central Asia, where horse riding and husbandry have ancient roots, horse meat has been part of the diet for millennia. It's cherished not only for its taste, but also for its cultural and historical significance. Likewise, countries in Europe, such as France and Belgium, have a tradition of consuming horse meat, valuing it for its lean profile and rich flavor. To many in these regions, horse meat is just another protein source, akin to beef or pork. However, the story changes when we look at the United States. Here, horses are perceived primarily through the lens of companionship and sport. They're seen as noble creatures that have assisted humans in work, warfare, and leisure. This emotional connection, reinforced through literature, movies, and personal experiences, makes the idea of consuming horse meat deeply unsettling to many Americans. Yet it wasn't always this way. During times of war and economic depression, when meat was scarce, horse meat served as an alternative protein source for Americans. But as the nation's economic situation improved and beef became more accessible, the consumption of horse meat waned. Number 5. Casu Marzu. The world of cheese is vast, encompassing a range of flavors, textures, and production methods that captivate cheese enthusiasts everywhere. Among these varieties, some stand out for their uniqueness, and none perhaps more so than Sardinia's Casu Marzu. This traditional Italian cheese, often dubbed the world's most dangerous cheese, is notable not just for its pungent flavor but also for its eyebrow-raising production method. Casu Marzu, which literally translates to rotten cheese, starts its life as pecorino, a well-known Italian cheese made from sheep's milk. But unlike pecorino, Casu Marzu undergoes an additional, quite unusual fermentation, or decomposition process. This transformation is facilitated by the cheese fly, Pyophila casei. These flies are allowed, even encouraged, to lay their eggs on the cheese. After laying their eggs, the larvae hatch and begin consuming the cheese, aiding its fermentation. As they digest the cheese, these larvae excrete enzymes that soften its texture and intensify its flavor. For many Sardinians, the presence of live wriggling maggots in Casu Marzu is not a sign of contamination, but rather an assurance of its authenticity and high quality. The cheese is considered ripe and ready to eat when these larvae are most active. Traditionalists believe that the cheese should be consumed with the larvae still alive, asserting that if the maggots are dead, the cheese has gone bad and is no longer safe to eat. However, this very aspect of casu marzu that is celebrated in its native Sardinia is what has raised eyebrows and concerns elsewhere. The primary danger lies with the larvae themselves. If ingested alive, there's a risk that they can survive the journey down the digestive tract, potentially leading to parasitic infections. Moreover, these larvae, when disturbed, can leap distances up to 15 centimeters, posing a potential risk to the eyes. Number 6. Shark fins. The deep blue vastness of our oceans is home to an array of magnificent creatures, but few as captivating and formidable as the shark. For centuries, sharks have been both feared and revered, appearing in ancient myths and modern tales alike. Yet beyond these narratives, one particular aspect of the shark has become a culinary luxury in certain cultures. Its fins. The harvesting and consumption of shark fins, while deeply rooted in tradition for some, have become subjects of global debate, ethical dilemmas, and environmental concern. Shark fin soup, a delicacy especially in Chinese cuisine, has origins dating back to the Ming Dynasty. Traditionally, it's been seen as a dish of prestige, often reserved for special occasions like weddings or banquets. The fin itself, once processed and cooked, provides a unique gelatinous texture to the soup, but is relatively tasteless. Instead, the flavor primarily comes from the broth and other ingredients. The process of obtaining these fins, however, is where the real controversy lies. Finning, as it is called, involves catching sharks, removing their fins, and often discarding the rest of the shark back into the ocean. This wasteful practice not only results in the death of the shark, as they can no longer swim effectively without their fins and often die from suffocation or predation, but also exacerbates the problem of overfishing. Number 7. Japanese pufferfish, fugu. The allure of the Japanese pufferfish, or fugu, lies as much in its potential danger as in its delicate flavor. Considered a prized delicacy in Japan, fugu has been consumed for centuries. The thrill for some is in the knowledge that if improperly prepared, this fish can be deadly. Tetrodotoxin, a potent neurotoxin present in the fish's organs and sometimes its skin, is more lethal than cyanide. A minute amount is enough to paralyze a human, leading to asphyxiation. In Japan, chefs undergo rigorous training, often spanning years, and must pass a stringent exam to earn a license to prepare fugu. Such measures ensure the safety of consumers, with incidents of fugu poisoning being exceedingly rare. However, the inherent risks associated with consuming fugu have led many countries, including the USA, to establish regulations. In the US, the sale and preparation of fugu are heavily restricted, with only a few places licensed to serve it, provided they import the fish from licensed Japanese suppliers. Number 8. Kinder Surprise eggs. Kinder Surprise eggs, hailing from Italy, are chocolate treats with a unique twist. Encased within the chocolate shell is a small plastic capsule containing a toy. While the combination of sweet treat and toy has made them beloved in many parts of the world, it's precisely this combination that led to their ban in the U.S. The 1938 Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act contains a provision that prohibits the sale of any confectionery product containing a non-nutritive object, unless it has a functional culinary purpose. The hidden toys inside Kinder Eggs can pose a choking hazard, particularly for young children, which led the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, to classify them as a potential safety risk. As a result, Kinder Surprise eggs have been prohibited in the U.S. since the 1970s. While variations of the product have been introduced to comply with U.S. regulations, the original Kinder Surprise remains off-limits. Number 9. African bushmeat. African bushmeat, as the name suggests, refers to the meat of wild animals hunted in the tropical forests of Africa. It encompasses a variety of species, from rodents and bats to larger animals like antelopes and apes. For many communities in Central and West Africa, bushmeat represents not just a dietary preference, but also a primary source of protein and a vital livelihood. However, the consumption of bushmeat brings with it significant health risks. Diseases that emerge from animals, known as zoonotic diseases, have historically had devastating impacts on human populations. Bushmeat, given its wide range of species, can act as a vector for these diseases. The HIV/AIDS pandemic and the more recent Ebola outbreak are believed to have origins linked to the consumption of or contact with bushmeat. Given these health concerns and the potential for the global spread of infectious diseases, the U.S. has prohibited the import and sale of African bushmeat. The ban aims to safeguard public health and prevent potential epidemics. Number 10. Mirabelle plums. Mirabelle plums, with their golden yellow hue and sweet tart flavor, are cherished fruits, predominantly grown in the Lorraine region of France. These small, round plums have enjoyed a protected designation of origin status in Europe, ensuring that only plums from this region can be labeled as Mirabelle de Lorraine. However, their ban in the U.S. is not due to any health concerns. Instead, it stems from trade restrictions. The U.S. restricts the import of Mirabelle plums in an effort to protect domestic plum industries from competition. As a result, while one might encounter variations or relatives of the Mirabelle plum in the U.S., the authentic Mirabelle de Lorraine remains a European delicacy that is notably absent from American shores. Number 11. Ortolan bunting. The ortolan bunting, a small songbird native to various parts of Europe and Asia, has long been the subject of gastronomic allure and ethical controversy. Historically, in certain French culinary traditions, the bird was captured, fattened, and eventually consumed whole, bones and all. The eating process was ritualistic, often involving the diner covering their head with a napkin, said to enhance the sensory experience, but also rumored to hide the act from the eyes of God, given its controversial nature. The controversy stems from both the manner in which the bird is prepared for consumption, drowned in Armagnac, and the threat to the species due to overhunting. As a result, the hunting and sale of ortolan buntings for culinary purposes have been illegal in France since 1999, although underground consumption still occurs. In the U.S., the Migratory Bird Treaty Act protects the ortolan bunting, prohibiting its capture and sale. Moreover, ethical concerns regarding its preparation and consumption have further solidified its restricted status in the American culinary scene. Number 12. Mangosteen, before they were allowed. Often hailed as the queen of fruits, the mangosteen is a tropical delight originating from Southeast Asia. Its thick purple rind encases juicy white segments that offer a perfect balance of sweetness and tartness. Despite its delectable flavor and numerous health benefits, the mangosteen was, for a long time, absent from U.S. markets. The primary reason for the mangosteen's previous restriction was the U.S. Department of Agriculture's concerns over potential pests that might accompany the fruit, particularly the Asian fruit fly. Given that these pests could threaten American agriculture, the import of fresh mangosteen was prohibited. It wasn't until advanced irradiation techniques were developed and deemed effective at eliminating potential pests that the ban was reconsidered. However, before these methods were established, the tantalizing mangosteen remained a sought-after delicacy that travelers might have tasted abroad, but couldn't find within the U.S. Number 13. Beluga caviar. Hailing from the majestic beluga sturgeon, primarily found in the Caspian and Black Sea, beluga caviar is often described as the pinnacle of luxury when it comes to caviar. With its large, delicate pearls and a buttery, nuanced flavor, it commands high prices and has long been sought after by gourmands and the elite. However, this high demand, coupled with pollution and habitat disruption, led to a dramatic decline in beluga sturgeon populations. Overfishing, particularly in the 20th century, brought the species close to the brink of extinction. Recognizing the critical status of the beluga sturgeon, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service placed the fish on the Endangered Species Act in 2004, effectively banning the import of beluga caviar. The intention was to protect and help in the recovery of the species by reducing the demand and curtailing illegal fishing. Number 14. Absinthe before its legal return. Absinthe, often referred to as the Green Fairy, is a high-proof spirit distilled with botanicals like anise, wormwood, and fennel. Originating in Switzerland in the late 18th century, it quickly gained popularity in France, especially among artists and writers, for its supposed psychoactive properties and its unique preparation ritual involving sugar and a slotted spoon. However, a combination of factors, including unfounded rumors about its hallucinogenic effects, Concerns about its high alcohol content and a strong temperance movement led to its demonization. The primary source of controversy was thujone, a compound found in wormwood believed to cause hallucinations. By the early 20th century, these factors culminated in bans across Europe and the US. In the US, absinthe was banned in 1912, and it wasn't until nearly a century later, in 2007, that the ban was lifted. Modern research clarified that traditional absinthe contained only trace amounts of thujone, far below harmful levels, debunking many myths surrounding the Green Fairy. Number 15. Queen Conch. The Queen Conch, with its ornate spiral shell, is an iconic sight in the waters of the Caribbean. Beyond its aesthetic appeal, the mollusk found inside this shell has been a staple in Caribbean cuisine for generations. From conch salads to fritters, its mild, slightly sweet flesh lends itself to a variety of dishes. However, due to its popularity, the queen conch has faced significant overfishing. The increasing demand, combined with unsustainable fishing practices, has led to declining populations. Recognizing the need for conservation, many nations, including the US, have implemented restrictions. In the US, while the import of conch meat is permitted from certain sources that manage the population sustainably, the import of queen conch shells and products from several overfished nations is banned. The goal is to reduce demand and encourage sustainable fishing practices, ensuring that future generations can continue to enjoy both the beauty and taste of the queen conch. Number 16. Pig's blood cake. A popular street food in Taiwan, pig's blood cake might raise eyebrows with its name alone. It is a unique dish made from pork blood, sticky rice, and various seasonings, typically steamed or fried and then coated in peanut powder or soy sauce. It offers a chewy texture and a rich, savory flavor. However, this traditional delicacy hasn't found favor with U.S. health regulators. The primary concern lies in the preparation and storage of the blood-based product, which, if not done correctly, poses a risk of bacterial contamination. Consequently, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has classified pig's blood cake as unfit for consumption, leading to its prohibition in the country. Number 17. Bird's nest soup. Soup is a delicacy that has its origins in Chinese cuisine, prized not just for its subtle flavor, but also for its purported health benefits. This unique soup is made from the nests of the swiftlet, a small bird found across Southeast Asia. These nests are constructed not from twigs, but from the bird's own saliva, which hardens when exposed to air, forming a gelatinous texture when cooked. The soup, often sweetened, has been consumed for centuries, believed to offer benefits like improved complexion, better respiratory health, and enhanced digestion. However, the harvesting of these nests can be detrimental to swiftlet populations, and there are concerns about the conditions in which some nests are cultivated. In the U.S., while authentic birds' nests can be imported, they must meet strict guidelines set by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Food and Drug Administration. These guidelines aim to address both conservation and health concerns, particularly the potential for contamination during nest processing. Number 18. Raw milk, in some states. Raw milk, as the name suggests, is milk that hasn't undergone the pasteurization process, a method that uses heat to kill harmful bacteria. Advocates for raw milk argue that it retains more of its natural nutrients, enzymes, and beneficial bacteria than its pasteurized counterpart. However, the risk of consuming harmful pathogens like E. coli, Listeria, and Salmonella has made raw milk a subject of debate. Many health organizations, including the FDA and the CDC, warn against its consumption, citing numerous outbreaks of foodborne illnesses linked to raw milk. In the U.S., while the sale of raw milk is banned on a federal level for interstate commerce, individual states have the autonomy to regulate its sale within their borders. As a result, the legality of selling and purchasing raw milk varies widely, with some states allowing retail sales, others only allowing sales directly from farms, and yet others prohibiting sales entirely. Number 19. Sassafras plants. Sassafras, a deciduous tree native to North America, has a history steeped in both culinary and medicinal traditions. The tree's bark, leaves, and roots have been used for myriad purposes, from the flavoring of root beer and sarsaparilla to traditional remedies for various ailments. However, the spotlight turned on sassafras when safrole, a primary component in its oil, was identified. In the 1960s, studies found that safrole led to liver cancer in laboratory animals. Due to these carcinogenic concerns, the FDA stepped in and banned the use of sassafras oil and safrole in commercially mass-produced foods and drugs in the 1970s. The ban led to a significant change in the formulation of products like root beer that once relied on natural sassafras for flavor. Number 20. Chitterlings in some forms. Chitterlings, often referred to as chitlins, are the small intestines of a pig. They hold a special place in many culinary traditions, particularly in the southern United States, where they're viewed as a celebratory dish, often served during the holidays. The preparation of chitterlings is labor-intensive, requiring thorough cleaning to remove fecal matter and impurities. They're then boiled and often fried, resulting in a dish that has a unique, somewhat acquired taste. However, the primary concern with chitterlings isn't necessarily the dish itself, but its preparation. If not cleaned and cooked properly, chitterlings can be a source of the Yersinia enterocolitica bacteria, which causes yersiniosis, a potentially fatal disease. Due to this, certain preparations or imports of ready-to-cook chitterlings, which may not meet stringent cleaning and sanitation standards, are prohibited in the U.S. The emphasis remains on ensuring that chitlins, if consumed, are prepared with utmost care, eliminating health risks.